Okay, guys, so I've had an opportunity, like a lot of you, to download well, I've had it downloaded, but basically update to the latest version of MultiVersus, which came out this past Tuesday. I adjust my headset here a little bit. And I will say that what I've played so far is pretty good. Now, I know people will have their issues with it. There is no doubt. It's still going to have some bugs here and there. There's, no getting over that. But I think over time, as they patch it up and, add more characters along with those patch ups, excuse me, that it'll become more balanced. I mean, there are games that have been hyped up, that have had bugs right off the bat, but over time, through re-releases or patches and major patches and DLC packs, excuse me, excuse me, those games have become a lot better to play. A lot more controllable, less buggy, and stuff like that. But a lot of games are going to have these issues. There's no doubt. There's no doubt they're going to have them. But what I've played so far and everything. What I played so far, I've thoroughly enjoyed. In fact, one of the characters that I unlocked upon replaying this after updating it, believe it or not, was Jason Voorhees of Friday the 13th, which was a big shocker to a lot of people when the trailer came out. And he was revealed at the end as one of the newest characters. And the reason this was a big shock to a lot of people because Jason is one of the horror icons of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, maybe even late 70s, very late 70s, But he is a horror icon up there up there, with the likes of Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, you name it. He is part of what's known as the original trio of horror icons from that time frame. So to see him show up, here in multiverses is it's a big deal. Now, apparently, the way they designed him, and a lot of you have seen the trailer. Heck, you've seen me play as him in some of the gameplay. The way they've designed him is to be, I guess, a little bit more. It's crazy to say, but a little bit more family friendly looking. Like he's still Jason. He still has. I mean, some of the moves and everything he has, very reminiscent and callbackish, if you will, to a lot of the notable scenes from all the various Friday the 13th movies. So he still has those. He has the sleeping bag move, which is a callback to Friday the 13th Part 7 and Jason X, Jason in Space, if you will. He has the bed move, if you will, where he folds the bed in half. That's a callback to, I think, maybe one of the earlier Friday the 13th. Let me know. Um, so he has some major callback. He has some major callbacks and everything. So to the movies he was in. But the way again he is set up here is, you know, he's basically more. The reason he's bulked out, as some people say, or some people have called it, the reason he's bulked out and everything, kind of like a Bane character, if you will, is something like as some people put it, like out of the Timverse. Basically, the reason for that, like I said, is to make him more family friendly, more like, okay, you know who he is, but he's not as horrific or horrifying and everything. Now, the individual trailer to introduce him as part of this does play into, the way it's presented, into how Friday the 13th movies were always presented. They were always presented like, showing you what you're going to get, and then it just ends with a glowing hockey mask and everything. So, getting some Coca-Cola there. So, there is no doubt that they did a good job in kind of hyping him up in his own trailer, and then if you didn't see that trailer, seeing him revealed here, along with Agent Smith from the Matrix, was was a big shock because it's like, wait a minute, these are characters from R-rated movies, one being a freaking horror franchise. This is big. But the reason Jason's a part of this is word got out a week or two ago that we're going to get the Jason universe. Now, unlike any other universe, cinematic, television, whatever, animated, this Jason universe is going to consist of, him appearing in games, in television shows, merchandise, you name it. The only exception being movies, because that's still kind of up in the air. That's still kind of up in the air of exactly where the next Friday the 13th movie will come from or when it will happen, if ever. But everything else, is a go. Everything else is a go. So he can. So basically, that's why he's here. That's part of the Jason Universe agreement of him showing up in various games, comics, books, television shows, you name it. So outside of movies, he's able to do all that. He's able to do all that. Agent Smith coming in, obviously that's a great move and everything, and it's a great sign that you're going to get you obviously got to get Trinity and Neo in here as well. You got Trinity, you got to get Neo, uh, you got to get what's his name? What was the one? I can't think of his name right now. Lucas or something like that. Let me double check, guys. Hold on. Okay, so basically, Morpheus, you know, um, you with Agent Smith being in there, obviously, like I was saying, it's hinting at you're going to get Neo, you're going to get Trinity maybe, and you might get Morpheus, and I think that's great. I think those are great additions in the future. Jason, that's going to be dependent on who they decide, who his main, um, I guess you could say, hero to go against has been in Friday the 13th. So they could choose a variety of characters. They could choose a variety of characters. But yeah, it definitely, to me, is a excuse me, it definitely is a huge a surprise to see those two characters in there because at least like with one of them, as I say with Smith, it hints at the fact that you're probably going to get more. Now, of course, if you as you see on the bottom here, another new character that came in, but a variant, if you will, basically a new skin, is Cake from Fiona and Cake, the Adventure Time spinoff. And the reason I say she's a variant, a variant, new, variant skin or and everything, as well as her calico version, is basically Jake is still the main character that you could select first and foremost. But if you don't want Jake, you can go with Cake, you can go with her Calico version, you can go with Alien Jake, and you can go with Christmas, ugly Christmas sweater, ugly Christmas sweater wearing, excuse me, Jake. You can go with that as well. Um, so yeah, that's why she's in here, and it is the same voice actress that voiced her in the Max exclusive series. And I know a lot of people are probably already having her square off against Jake because both characters have shape shifting powers and everything to become anyone or anything they want. Maybe even, I think, even melt down into goo, right? So I'm not really sure. But she's in there. Marvin's in there. Stripe's in there from Gremlins. Gizmo's in there from Gremlins. Basically everybody you see here on the right hand side of your screen is in the game so far. Now, apparently there are leaks going around, data mine leaks, if you will, according to some people, that are hinting at other characters, showing up. Because you look at the trailer and everything, and it kind of lets you have an idea that not only are you going to get the environments and some of the artifacts, if you will, to fight in and utilize as part of your weapons. But you're also getting a hint that hey, you're not just going to be probably fighting in Townsville, and everything, um, that, but you might even be eventually fighting as one of the Powerpuff Girls or something like that. The same with the water tower. A lot of, and then you look. I mean, because at the beginning you have the water tower, and then you see the Pinky and the Brain air balloon. So obviously it's hinting at that. Hey, we might have the Animaniacs in here. We might have Pinky and the Brain in here. We might have The Warner siblings, in here, which of course, like I said, were Animaniacs, but you might have other Animaniacs characters as well. You might get Slappy Squirrel in there. You might get Minerva Mink. You never know. You might get Rita and Runt, which would be crazy. The Good Feathers, that'd be something. But yeah, they're hinting at that. They're hinting at Pinky and the Brain showing up. You might get Juliet or Julia from the new series in there. You might get Billy from the original series as well, so that'd be interesting. People hoping if Pinky and the Brain show up, that one of the variants that Pinky, not Pinky but Brain will have is his human suit, his human robotic suit that he walks in to pass off as a human with a small head. They're hoping for that. Of course, you got Tiny Toons to choose from. You can go either the Adventures route or the Luniversity route. I think right off the bat, they'll probably go the Luniversity route with the adventure skins and everything. Being a choice to choose as well. If you choose, like, let's say Buster, Fifi, Plucky, Babs, you'll get to not only choose how they are in Luniversity, but you'll probably get to choose how they were in the original Adventure show. Um, so to me, those are the hints we're getting there, along, like I said, with the Powerpuff Girls and everything. And I think with the Powerpuff Girls, honestly, I think what will happen is they're going to take a page out of what Injustice did with the Ninja Turtles. Instead of having the Ninja Turtles, all four of them as their own separate fighters, you got to switch in between them. You know, like initially you'll start as Leonardo, but you press the what is it the triangle button on your PS5 or the A button on your Xbox controller, and you can switch from Leonardo to Michelangelo to Donatello, Raphael. That's how they did the turtles in that game instead of giving them their own individual slots, right? So I think that's how they're going to do the Powerpuff Girls as well. Like instead of just being like Bubbles and what's the other name? Oh, I know Bubbles because obviously she's very notable and everything. Let me see. Let me bring this up. Um, Buttercup, Bubbles, and Blossom. Okay, so to me, I think obviously, they're gonna start with, like I said, they'll probably take a page out of what they did with the Ninja Turtles in Injustice 2, and basically they'll have Bubbles like be the default Powerpuff you'll choose, but then you'll press a button and be like, okay, I want to choose, and it won't be skin wise. I don't think they'll do it by skin. If they do it by skin, then hey, they need to make that one, not one, but they need to make those skins free of charge, no purchase. Like automatically they're available. So I could see them doing Bubbles as the default, and then not Bubbles, but Blossom as the default, Bubbles, and then Buttercup, as a choice as well. So I could see that. I could see him adding in Mojo Jojo in there as well. I mean, heck, we already have him in there, flying his ship, so it makes sense to, take him out of the ship, let him be a fighter. So he's just like one step away from being inserted. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Um, you got SWAT Cats you could choose from. You got Dexter's Laboratory you could choose from as well. You got Two Stupid Dogs you could choose from. Um, to put in there. I mean, Warner Brothers, believe it or not, has a lot of licenses they could utilize for this game. They got lot of licenses they can utilize. You look at Steven Universe, you got Steven and Garnett. You also could get, what's her name, Pearl in there, and Amarith. Pearl and Amarith, you got to get them in there as well. And I think basically what you need to do, if you're gonna, like, let's say, team up Amarith with Pearl or Amarith with Garnet, then you need to basically allow that player to fuse them. They basically should have the ability to fuse, in my opinion. So they should be able to do that. And it's the same with Steven. You need to have Steven be able to fuse with them as well. I think as well with Steven, you need to add Connie in there. So that way you can have a fusion between him and Connie to be Stefani. if you will. So I think that's something they could do. Infinity Train, you got the characters from Infinity Train, all different versions. You could add that. Of course, you got the Hanna-Barbera library. You know, you got Yogi Bear, Boo Boo, Cindy. You know, I'd love to see those characters get added. And you could do and honestly, if you want to, you could do the classic Yogi, Cindy, and Boo Boo designs as the default. And then as, you know, for skin, as far as skins go, you could, you know, have the Jellystone versions as well as maybe even go and deep dive and give us the Yo-Yogi designs, which would be cool too. And the same with Huckleberry Hound, Snagglepuss, you name it. You know, I think all of the characters you see in Jellystone, like the Yogi Bear associated characters, need to be in here, and you need to give them different variant skins to be for the player to utilize based on how they've been represented throughout their existence. Now, of course, as far as Looney Tunes go, you know, you got to have Daffy Duck. He's being rumored for the next pack, like the first DLC pack, you know, patch and everything. So that's good to see. Porky Pig obviously has got to be in there as you know as well. Lola Bunny, definitely got to get Lola Bunny in there, along with Tina Russo from Looney Tunes show. So Tina Russo and Lola Bunny. And Lola Bunny, you've got like two or three variants you could work with her on. You could use her main Space Jam design as the default, and then go from there with, okay, the variant is the Looney Tunes show one, and then the variant after that could be, you know, Bugs Bunny's Builders or whatever. You can vary you can use variations for I think you know that's been seen throughout her existence as run. Even her pizza delivery variant from the comics. That would be something that people be like if they haven't read the Looney Tunes comics, they'd be like, "Oh crap, what's this?" And then that would cause them to look it up and be like, "Oh, I didn't know she's a pizza delivery person in the comics." So so yeah, I think you could do that. Obviously, you got to get Elmo Fudd in there, Yosemite Sam in there as well. Sylvester Tweety. Imagine doing Sylvester Tweety against Tom and Jerry. That would be big, in my opinion. People would love to do that. Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. You got to get in there. Foghorn Leghorn, along with the along with the Barnyard Dog, if you will. Get them in there. Um, let's see. Maybe even put Penelope Pussycat in there. You don't have to put Peppy, but put Penelope in there. That'd be a nice little hey, you know, acknowledgement of hey, you know, we didn't forget about her. We can't do much with Peppy right now until things clear up, but you know, here's Penelope. So you could do that too. So I think those would be great additions, as well as far as you know properties are concerned. You know, as far as properties are concerned for Warner Brothers and everything to look into Looney Tune wise. Uh, and everything. Excuse me. Um, you also got characters I think are also being rumored for the next pack, like Static Shock from the Timverse. Maybe dig deep and put in you know Zeta from the Zeta Project. That would be huge. So Static Shock, Zeta, Batman Beyond, I think would be great. Maybe you can make him a new skin, you know, for Batman, or make him his own individual character. Robin, put him in there. You could make him as himself and give him different variations of who Robin was throughout the history of Batman, from like you know Jason Todd to Tim Drake to Dick Grayson. You know, you could do that. That'd be great. Batgirl, you could do Batgirl, you know, as well. Different variations of Batgirl throughout the years from the '60s version to the Timverse version to oh my goodness, how about what was the word I'm looking for? From the Timverse okay, hold on, from the '60s version, Timverse version to the New Adventures version and everything. You know, and so on. Even the oh yeah, the Alicia Silverstone version too, the Batman and Robin one. So that'd be interesting to see. And then of course, you know, you have the Joker in there. You gotta have other DC villains. Like I could see them putting in Lex Luthor. I could see them putting in maybe Mister Freeze, the Penguin, maybe, as Gorilla Grodd, if you will. I could see them putting in let's see, who else is there? Bane they could put in. Metallo, Brainiac, you name it. The list could go on there. Dark Side, I think, would be a great addition. And what else? What else could we do? The Flash, of course, you got to put the Flash in there. That would be nice. The Flash, Green Lantern, I think, is rumored for the next one of the future installments in the next year or so, the next few months. So Green Lantern, the Flash, Green Arrow, you know, again, the list just goes on and on and on of, the unlimited talent they could have. Supergirl, you could put in there as well. I think that would be nice. Supergirl. You could put in Lois Lane if you want to. You could put in Elastigirl from Teen Titans Go if you want to put her in there. Or I think that's, yeah. I don't know if that's her name in Doom Patrol. Is that her name in Doom Patrol? If you were Elastigirl, I'm not really sure. Let me check and everything. Let me excuse me again. Let me check. Um, so let me check here. Let's go to the TV series here, because that's, yeah. I think it is. I think that is her name and everything. Yeah, Rita Flair, Elasti-Woman. But yeah, you could put her in there. Do variations of her. Um, what else could you do? Oh, you could do the Metal Men as well. You could have, all the Metal Men kind of switch out between them as variants, like, Platinum, and all that. So that'd be nice. Um, the point I'm getting at is they have a whole catalog of DC, Looney Tunes, Hanna-Barbera characters that they could really tap into and put into this series. And they could even license out third-party characters from other companies as well. I mean, they did that with the Ninja Turtles for Injustice because of the tie-in with Batman. So I could see them, maybe doing something like that as well, licensing out and saying, hey, okay, who can we bring in that we don't own, but we can have licensed just for this game? And you know what's crazy? They want to get My Little Pony Generation 5 over. I could see them maybe trying to bring some characters, over from that. Like bring in the main six of that show in there, but through variants. Like the default could be Sunny, and then you could choose from Sunny, between Sunny, and then you could choose between her, Hitch, Zip, Pip, if you will. I think of Sunny, Hitch, Zip, Pip, Izzy, and Misty. You could choose between them. That would be great. It would be awesome and everything. What other shows could they work with? Characters, licenses. They can go to Universal and say, "Hey, Universal, can we license out?" Because Universal owns the classic media, Filmation, if you will. Yeah, I think the Filmation does. They own He-Man and She-Ra. So I could see them going over there saying, "Hey, can we license out He-Man and She-Ra, bring them into multiverse?" That would be something they could do, and I think people would be excited about that as well. So, they have Thundercats too. They have the rights to Thundercats because it was distributed by the home video division, even though it's Rankin Bass. They have the rights to that, and Silverhawks. They could dig. They could go and put those in there as well. So they have a lot of options in-house and out-house, if you will, that they could choose from to put into this game that I think, from an outsourced perspective, the studios wouldn't mind, if they got paid well for it. So I could see, like I said, maybe MLP saying, yeah, go ahead, take on G5, main six characters, put them in there. You know, I could see Universal saying, yeah, go ahead, use He-Man and She-Ra. I could see that. I could see them saying, "Hey, Classic Media, we own the distributing rights for, the Silverhawks and Thundercats. Could there be a way we could use them in the game?" They'd probably be like, "Yeah, no problem." So I could see all that happening over time because the roster we got right now is great. Don't get me wrong about that. The roster we got right now is great, but I think it could be even better. It could be even better with the addition of some of those names from those shows and everything that I brought up. So I think it could be really better. Heck, if you want to, you could even bring in Michael Jordan as a fighter. Thus you could do Michael Jordan against LeBron James in this because that would be a callback to the first Space Jam. I think that would be great. There's discuss, there's something that Andre Meadows of Black New Comedy brought up. He said, we might see the Ghostbusters is not in there, but it could be. And you know what's crazy is they could say, hey, let's license out the real Ghostbusters, to bring in this game, and also it make kind of give it a variant kind of and kind of give them special variants to where it's like you could choose from all four Ghostbusters or five Ghostbusters, if you will, including Slimer. So you'd have like six variants, but you can also give them additional variants with the likes from the Filmation Ghostbusters. So you could have like nine different variants. So you like default wise, you could start with Peter Venkman, and then you could choose from Winston, Ray, Egon, Slimer, Janine, if you will. You could choose from them, and then in addition, instead of let's say Slimer is the last one, you could click on Slimer, and you could go like, okay, I don't want Slimer. Just press the button. You could go like, oh, I can get the Filmation ones as well, or at least you could choose from them on like the next row. So I think you could have a good a good choice of characters if they listed that out and mixed it together with the Filmation ones. I really do. So, you could do that. You could bring in the Rovers if you want. That's diving deep. Freakazoid, his show's coming back on. It's part of the MeTV Tunes. You could bring in the Mask, Ace Ventura. Again, the list of intellectual properties that they own, that being Warner Brothers, and that they can license, and that they can get the license to just for this game, it's endless. It is endless. I mean, they have a huge source of uh, characters they could bring in from within and from without. So I think it'd be great. And again, you got the House of Dragon, the Game of Thrones. You got one character in there from Game of Thrones. How many characters do they have that get focused on in Game of Thrones and House of Dragon? I mean, I know my older sister would know, but how many more? Can you imagine adding those in there as well? So they have, like I said, they have plenty to work with over time, and that while they do that, over time add these characters in that I've mentioned, and I'm sure others have talked about. The more they add them in, the more they're going to have the opportunity to also patch the game up and make it a lot better than what it is right now. And this roster page right here on the right and on the left, but mostly the right, that roster page is going to get better. It's going to get not better, but it's going to get bigger and bigger each time. You're going to see more characters showing up alongside the ones that are already in there. I mean, there's speculation you're going to get Samurai Jack. You're going to get Princess Bubblegum and the other girl, her girlfriend, if you will, from Adventure Time. So that's going to be really that's going to be really interesting to see. Thus by adding them in, you're going to again expand that entire roster, if you will. So honestly, over time, I think MultiVersus is going to go from being okay to where it is right now, out to where it's got like it's an okay game, good mechanics and everything, but it has a mixed reaction on everything else, if not sometimes negative. It's going to go from basically the overall mixed reaction to getting a huge positive reaction. You know, the more time passes, and the more characters are added in, and the more patches are added in as well to improve the game, and so on. So right now, it's in a situation to where, as strange as a comparison as this might be, as to what Cyberpunk, what is it, 2047 was in, or 2770, or 2040, what was it, Cyberpunk was in, I should say. And then they got a re-release, and the re-release had the patches and the DLC and everything, and a big improvement overall. And basically, the negative mixed reaction to it went to straight off positive reaction. So I could see the same with multiverses over time. Like I said, with the characters that I mentioned that Warner Brothers has access to within house, and what they get access from without house by licensing, along with the patches that are going to be brought in as well. But let me know what your guys' thoughts were on MultiVersus upon its return and its rebranding and everything. Let me know what your thoughts were. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere if you haven't already. Also, guys, super chats were open. You probably noticed that in the title. If you didn't, it was in the description. But if you can't do a super chat, super thanks are even just as good as well. Also, check out my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else currently. But again, let me know what your thoughts are on MultiVersus. The newest edition or the new version of it with the addition of all these different characters. Do you agree with me with some of the characters that I believe Warner Brothers could add in from within house as well as outsource as well to be part of this? And do you think patches over time will help improve it as well? And do you think it'll go from being basically a game that's got like a mixed reaction right now with a little bit of a negative reaction to being a game that's going to have a massively positive reaction like Cyberpunk did? Let me know, guys. And until next time, you all have a good night, and I am out.